Evening and thanks very much for joining us. I'm Brittany Ramsey. We begin tonight with the area's most recent COVID-19 numbers. The district health unit has identified 3 cases with variants of concern, and that brings the total number of variant cases in the district to 7. The VOCs were identified in cases that had already been reported by the health unit. There are 13 new cases being reported today. That's a 2-day total, as the health unit has stopped reporting new cases on Sundays. 9 of them come from the Thunder Bay area, 3 come from First Nation communities, and 1 is from elsewhere in the district. 3 cases are related to travel, 3 are due to close household contact, 3 are from close contacts outside the home, and 4 have unknown exposures. The total case count now sits at 2,975, but the number of active cases continues to fall. That's down to 91, the lowest total since January 20th. 17 COVID patients are being treated at the regional hospital, 6 are in the ICU, and the hospital is about 79% full. Meanwhile, the 60-plus vaccination clinic at the CLE Coliseum is now completely booked until early May. The health unit says it will announce when more appointments become available. The Thunder Bay COVID numbers come in sharp contrast to what's happening provincially. Ontario is reporting more than 4,400 new cases today and a record number of patients in intensive care. With a growing number of those new cases attributed to variants of concern, Doug Ford has announced a reversal of an earlier decision. The Premier now says students will not be returning to their classrooms following the April break. Colin DeMello has more.
As the province faces the worst of the third wave, the Ford government is now trying to avoid the worst-case scenario, as rising rates of infection create new risks for the education system.
Bringing our kids back to a congregate setting in school after a week off in the community is a risk that I won't take.
The government is once again going to close all Ontario schools for in-person learning beginning April 19th. The closure will be indefinite and will only return once the COVID indicators improve, a decision that the province's top doctor believes was unavoidable.
And so we see this moving rapidly in our communities. We see cases and we hear of cases that where family members have been tested positive, the other family member doesn't and become ill and end up in the emergency department very quickly. So this is a new issue.
The closures are an about-face for a government that has insisted schools are safe. Just yesterday, the minister sent a letter to Ontario parents promising all elementary and public schools would remain open during the stay-at-home order.
Obviously, our intention all along has been for kids to return to safely learn in schools. That's been our long-standing commitment.
But the government says new data demonstrated how dire the situation is.
You know, this pandemic moves rapidly. These variants move rapidly. When we received information late in the afternoon, we decided to act immediately.
The government says schools can resume for in-class learning once the provincial situation improves.
We'll keep a constant eye on the data, on case numbers, hospital capacity, and ICU admissions to determine when we can get kids back in the classrooms.
But the government provided little in the way of specifics, leading to concerns about whether in-class learning will ever resume in the school year.
For the sake of parents and teachers and kids, I think the government needs to, needs to be clear about what the expectations are, instead of just lurching around and from one crisis to another.
Critics are calling on the government to present a plan to return students to the classroom.
Now, the changing plans for education from the province comes just days after the district health unit gave the okay for students across the city to finally return to the classroom after the break. The chair of the Catholic School Board confirms they were caught off guard by Minister Lecce's announcement today. Troy Charles reports.
Thunder Bay Catholic District School Board Chair Francis Svenrus says the decision to cancel in-class learning for 2 weeks after the break did come as a surprise when looking at how our local cases have been dropping.
Well, we were prepared to start up with the students back in school, which I think we all feel is important for both their mental and health well-being. And we were kind of taken aback by the announcement that was just made today. We're doing a good job in our area, Thunder Bay District, and we were just hoping that we would be taken into consideration, that we could continue on. But we understand that the decisions are made through the minister and Dr. Williams.
Moving to the vaccination front, both our school boards have now penned letters to the provincial government and district health unit calling on them to accelerate the vaccination of education workers. Some provincial health units have already begun offering vaccinations to all education workers, but the rollout in the Thunder Bay District Health Unit so far only includes people who work with special education students. For Ellen Chambers, the chair of the Lakehead Public School Board, getting all teachers vaccinated should be a top priority.
We're not unaware of vaccine realities. However, that doesn't mean that we still don't want to advocate very strongly that education workers should be vaccinated. They are frontline workers. Everybody wants our schools to be open and open safely.
Well, I think the frustration level is that, to have to write a letter so that they remember that we're part of the province also, and I think we'd like to see our teachers be treated the same way as the ones in Southern Ontario.
Troy Charles, TBT News.
The Northwestern Health Unit is reporting 9 new cases of COVID in its catchment area. 2 of them are in the Emo area, and it comes 1 week after an outdoor religious gathering caught the attention of the health unit. On Easter Sunday, Emo's Calvary Baptist Church held an outdoor service where dozens attended without wearing masks. In a statement, church pastor Chris Vieira says they followed the latest provincial rules for religious gatherings, and the outdoor service was not aimed at protesting or ignoring any rules. Church officials had posted images of the gathering online, which have since been removed. Another post from the church, which has also been removed, revealed there was a confirmed COVID case within the congregation and several others feeling ill and awaiting test results. This afternoon, the Northwestern Health Unit confirmed a total of 5 cases have been connected to that service. Another Thunder Bay pharmacy has been given the go-ahead to administer COVID-19 vaccinations. The Court Street Safeway Pharmacy was one of 707 pharmacies added to the provincial program on Sunday. That store will soon be closed for a rebranding into a Freshco location, but the pharmacy will continue operating in a temporary location across the street. The first 3 local pharmacies, the Shoppers Drug Mart on Red River Road, Dawson Heights Pharmacy, and Oak Medical Pharmacy, began administering the AstraZeneca vaccine to people over 55 last week. Province-wide, there are about 1,500 pharmacies now taking part in the program. The province says start times for the newly added clinics will vary and will depend on vaccine supply. A COVID-19 outbreak has been confirmed among Canadian Pacific Railway employees in both Thunder Bay and Scriber. The district health unit hasn't disclosed how many workers have been affected, but a source told Dougal Media that at least half a dozen employees tested positive and others are awaiting results. CP Rail spokesperson Salim Woodrow says the company already had strict measures in place. However, another source said some crews were not wearing face masks inside trains or company vehicles prior to the outbreak. The situation is being investigated by the health unit, and increased control measures have now been implemented. City Council will meet on April 29th to discuss next steps regarding the controversial indoor turf facility. It's a non-business meeting where city staff will provide information and answer questions. However, Council can't make any decisions at that meeting. There will be some decisions made tonight, however. Council is being asked to commit $100,000 of unused hotel tax money to improve the Pool 6 site this year. 2 cruise liners are to begin stopping there next year, and a third will follow suit in 2023. The CEDC projects that will bring about $7 million worth of economic activity to Thunder Bay. And Councillor Shelby Chung wants to review landfill tipping fees to determine if discounts should be offered to specific user groups. New details have emerged about the collective agreement reached between Superior North EMS paramedics and the City of Thunder Bay. Nearly 98% of the membership voted in favor after a ratification meeting. The paramedics will receive wage increases totaling 8.5% over the 4-year contract. The deal covers 108 paramedics who work within the City of Thunder Bay. The tentative deal was announced Saturday evening, just hours before the strike deadline. Bargaining chair for Unifor Local 3911, Rob Moquin, says this contract helps lessen the gap between paramedics and other first responders, which the union has been trying to address for quite a while now.
The corporation can be happy with this settlement, as well as our members. I think we both walk away feeling that our concerns were heard by the corporation, and they've put forth a a package that we feel is good for our members.
The contract won't be ratified by City Council until April 26, but City Manager Norm Gale issued a statement saying they are pleased to have reached a settlement which prevented any disruption in the delivery of paramedic service. Overnight nursing services have resumed at the Pikangikum First Nation. Indigenous Services Canada began flying the nursing staff out of the community each night because of safety concerns after Pikangikum Council expelled its 10 OPP officers on March 19th following allegations of misconduct. Chief Dean Owen took part in a virtual meeting with federal officials this weekend, and the result was a return of the nurses staying overnight. The police issue remains unresolved. MP Eric Malello has suggested bringing in the RCMP until alternate policing arrangements can be made. FedNor is investing more than $5.3 million to support 5 local organizations. Northern Ontario Angel is getting over $1.8 million to expand its work, connecting entrepreneurs with angel investors. $1.5 million is going to the Northwestern Ontario Innovation Centre to help launch new businesses. The Centre for Research and Innovation in the Bioeconomy, or CRIBE, is getting $1.3 million. Confederation College is receiving $378,000 to hire more staff, and $234,000 is going to the Dawson Trail Brewery to help scale up its operation. This latest FedNor money comes on the heels of a separate funding investment. Nearly $500,000 went to the Thunder Bay CEDC for year 2 of the rural and northern immigration pilot.
In our first year, we had some of the best results in Canada. We had, I think, almost 70 placements of individuals across a number of sectors and industries, which is phenomenal. So, year 2 is actually, I can say, is going very well. We're hoping that we'll be more successful than we were in year 1.
Thunder Bay was one of 11 communities in the country chosen to be part of the pilot project. Zakruski says the program brought about 130 new residents to Thunder Bay last year, as many recipients brought their families. Given that success, Ottawa is allowing the CEDC to increase the number of applicants it can accept from 100 to 150. A Thunder Bay man remains in custody after being arrested in connection with an armed robbery. Police were called to the North Edward Street Dollarama Friday morning after a man drew a handgun and made threats to staff before fleeing with some merchandise. A suspect was located in the area and arrested. A replica firearm was seized. A 29-year-old city man is facing several theft and firearms charges. The Underground Gym is now offering essential items to anyone in need around their new Victoria Avenue location. Gym owner Peter Panetta is already getting the word out to the community that his thrift store in a box is now open. The box is sectioned off with food and clothing available. All of the items donated to Panetta rather than into the box himself. He ensures proper hygiene is in mind when they sort their incoming items. It's something Panetta started 17 years ago at his old Simpson Street location, and with the help of a local volunteer, he was excited to start it once again.
It proved to be, extremely beneficial for the families in the area. It was always loaded with clothes, boots, mitts, hats, food, whatever. And whatever I put in usually went. So it's definitely, there's a need for it.
Peter provides quite a service, and I don't think the city supports him, really. So anything you can do for him is a good thing. It's a good idea. It's free and it's easily accessible. So, and I tried to make it kind of weatherproof.
Local artist Yuxem Wan has offered to paint the white box with inspiration from Panetta and the kids.
Well, Fiona, not the nicest weekend and not the nicest start to the work week. It looks like there's going to be a little